Hello and welcome to the online class for the students of BA Part 2 English Literature. Dear students, in this video we are going to study a poem Enterprise composed by the poet Nissim Ezekiel. As we know that in our earlier videos we have discussed about who is Nissim Ezekiel and what are the poems that are prescribed in your syllabus. So in the earlier video we have studied the poem Night of the Scorpion that is also composed by Nissim Ezekiel, and in this video we are going to study the poem Enterprise. Nissim Ezekiel was born in 1924 in Bombay, India, and was died in 2004. He was a Jewish Indian poet, editor, and the awardee of Padma Shri and Sahitya Academy Award. Enterprise. In this poem, the poet is describing about a journey. And Enterprise poem is an allegorical poem describing the journey of the life and the poet's realization at different stages of his journey. In Enterprise, the poet Nissim Ezekiel talks about going on a pilgrimage. He is not alone in the journey. There are other pilgrims too in that group. They have set out to reach a destination that is unknown to the readers. It is not disclosed even at the end of the poem. There is a hint in the poem that the place is somewhere near the sea. When we will study the poem, we will know about this fact. The poet divides their journey into some stages. In each stage, the path they have chosen is not that smooth. They have to face some difficulties in order to reach their goal. And this is somehow a universal truth that when we go on to a mission, on a pilgrimage or an expedition, we face many difficulties. Some members leave the group for their difference of opinion. One such person is an intellectual and prose writer. This is also denoted in the poem in a line. The situation worsens when they are close to their destination, but the ending is paradoxical. Means there is an opposition of thoughts in the last line. Even after suffering from hardships to reach their coveted goal, means to reach their most awaited goal, they feel dejected, they feel dishonested, they feel exhausted after reaching there. At last, the poet paradoxically remarks, home is where we have to gather grace. And this is one of the most overquoted line of Nissim Ezekiel's poetry. Home is where we have to gather grace. When we talk about the form and structure of this poem, Enterprise by Nissim Ezekiel has a specific structure and rhyme scheme. The poet himself is the sole speaker in the poem, means there is none another speaker in the poem, so readers can say it is a lyric poem. There are specific instances where the poet uses a first person narrative technique to describe the journey. The poem is 30 lines long. There are a total of 6 stanzas in the poem, each containing 5 lines. The rhyme scheme is AB, AB, A, and it continues throughout the poem without any break. When we talk about the literary devices in this poem, the first line is an example of sarcasm. The poet says that their journey is not an ordinary one. It was like a pilgrimage for the group. It is meant to bring a sense of humor, at the same time a smell of irony in the poem. There are some other instances where the poet uses the same literary device. Such lines are, we stood it very well, I thought, on how to cross a desert patch, and I tried to pray. In the last line of the first stanza, the sun is personified, And in the second stanza, the way of serpents and of gods is a metaphor. Serpents is a metonym of mischievous persons with whom the poet met during the enterprise, during the pilgrimage, during the journey. In the fourth stanza, readers can find another metonymy in the word section. Here, section stands for the persons in the poet's group. In the line, he smelt the sea, the poet uses another metonymy. Here, the sea symbolizes the sea breeze. In the last stanza, Ezekiel invests the abstract idea trip with the ability to blacken their face. It is definitely a use of personification here. The last two lines of the poem contain a deep meaning which seems absurd to the readers at this juncture of the poem. Here, the poet uses a literary device which is called epigram in the art of rhetoric. So, in this poem, the poet talks about a journey, and the poem starts with these opening lines. It starts as a pilgrimage, exalting minds and making all the burdens light. The second stanza, the second stage explored but did not taste the coal. The sun beat down to match our rage. Here the poet begins the poem with a onset of journey. That journey is similar to pilgrimage for the author and the people of the group. In the next line, in the second line, the poet mentions that all the group members are in a zeal. They are they are the people who are experts in their field, and this journey, with the starting of this journey, their mind become light. The second stage, and as we have talked earlier, that the poet uh, differentiate, or the poet categorize the journey in stages. So the first stage is that their mind is exalting and their burden have become light as they move on the pilgrimage. The second stage explored but did not taste the coal. Here, the poet says that the second stage of the journey was started, but it was not the taste of the coal, means it was not the ready, or it was not the fulfilled stage. The sun beat down to match our rage. Here the poet explains some of the hurdles, some of the natural calamities they fear, they bear, like the sun beat down to match our rage. Here he explains the role of nature in this journey, that the sun, the scorching sun, has beat down to match their race, to match their zeal, their determination. We stood it very well, I thought. Now, in the next opening, in the next stanza, the poet says that we stood it very well, I thought. Means he is somewhat satirical in the tone, and he is saying that I thought that we, all the group members, have understood what is our journey about, observed and put down copious notes. In this journey, we observed many things, and we started to note down many other activities that we saw there, on things the peasants sold and bought. Means this third and fourth line is an example of unimportant things that a person that a person see when he start a journey. So that's why the poet here again saying that we note down some of the copious notes in our mind on things the peasants sold and bought, the way of serpents and of gods. Means the different activities of serpents and gods that we saw in the way of our journey, we note down these things. And three cities where a sage had taught, and in between the journey they also met with a sage, also met with a hermit who was preaching in a city. So these are the some of the way hurdles, some of the way activities that they saw and they observed while they were uh, on the expedition. And that's why the poet here compares this journey to a people's goal journey. And in between, when a person takes an mission into his mind, he not only focuses, not only have attention on his mission, but in the way between he sees many activities. And that's why here the poet compare his journey to a life journey. But when the differences arose on how to cross a desert patch, we lost a friend whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. A shadow fall on us and grows. Now, in the third stanza, the poet is in a very pessimistic mode, and he is saying that when some differences arose in among the people of the group, difference arose on how to cross a desert patch. This was the matter of the difference, and at this point we lost a friend. Means one of our friend breaks away from the journey with us, and that friend was very famous prose writer, and whose stylish prose was quite the best of all our batch. Here the poet mentions, here the poet appreciate the prose writing of that people, of that friend. A shadow fall on us and grows, and here he says that this at this stage, at this second stage, we get apart with one of our friend whose prose writing was very well and sound. So in this poem we have discussed three stanzas here, and in the first stanza the poet starts about the onset of the pilgrimage. In the second stanza he speaks about the various activities that we observed in between the way of the journey, and in the third stanza he talks about the break breaking up of the group of people of the group, and one of the people in the group got apart from them because of a difference. So this is all, students, this is all about today. In the next video we are going to study the rest remaining part of the this poem. Thank you all.